Welcome to Point Tupper. This was once a bustling residential community, fed by the ferries that took people and vehicles back and forth between Cape Breton Island and mainland Nova Scotia. With the arrival of the Cancel Causeway and the discontinuation of the ferry services, both in 1955, things changed dramatically in Point Tupper. There are still people living here, but much of the land is taken up by major heavy industries that have taken up root here in this community in Richmond County since the late 50s and on throughout the remainder of the 20th century and into the 21st. But Point Tupper doesn't have its own community volunteer fire department, and that's led this area to become a political football tossed back and forth between Richmond Municipal Council and the nearby town of Port Hawkesbury over who should provide fire services to residents and businesses in the area. And that battle came to a head just last week when Richmond Municipal Council, led by Warden Brian Marchand, terminated a contract that it had had with the town of Port Hawkesbury to have the town provide fire services from its volunteer fire department to the people here in Point Tupper. According to the statement released by Richmond officials on June 23rd, the county had entered into a one-year agreement with the town last July to provide fire services to the community of Point Tupper for a cost of just under $50,000 to the county. Now, just a couple of weeks ago, according to Richmond officials, the town proposed a new agreement to be put into effect this coming July that would have had a 25% increase in these costs, resulting in Richmond officials paying just under $75,000 for fire service protection for Point Tupper for the coming year. Further complicating matters for Richmond County was the fact that the municipality had hired an independent consultant to do a fire services review for the county, including Point Tupper. That review's final report landed at the Richmond County Chamber's table on May 15th. And according to the press release that came out on June the 23rd, that didn't give municipal officials enough time to digest the facts, figures, and suggestions that came out of that report. So they asked the town of Port Hawkesbury for an extension on its current one-year contract for that town's volunteer fire department to provide fire services to Point Tupper. In the end, according to the statement released in late June, Richmond officials felt that because of the low number of calls received from Point Tupper for fire services each year, an average of 3 according to the statement, as well as the fact that many volunteer fire departments around Richmond County were struggling to upkeep their equipment and their overall departments and could use the funds that were currently going to Port Hawkesbury, Richmond officials felt that it wasn't right to try to get another contract with Port Hawkesbury this coming summer. Port Hawkesbury officials wasted little time responding to Richmond County's statement of the termination of the fire services agreement for Point Tupper. 3 days after Richmond officials released their own statement, Port Hawkesbury Town Council joined forces with the town's volunteer fire department to issue a rebuke chastising Richmond County for changing the provider of fire services to Point Tupper 3 times in the last 3 years. As well, the chief of the Port Hawkesbury Volunteer Fire Department, Curtis Doucette, said, quote, "We stand by our record and we treat the area as our own. We are disappointed that Richmond County Council does not approve of our service towards Point Tupper." In the statement from Port Hawkesbury, Mayor Brenda Chisholm-Beaton uses words such as almost incomprehensible to describe Richmond County's decision to allow fire service protection for Point Tupper to be transferred to a department such as the Lewisdale and District Volunteer Fire Department, which had previously provided service before the latest stepping in by the town. She described the heavy industries in Point Tupper as the Strait region's most valuable asset, for which Richmond County receives more than $3.5 million in tax revenues. She added that the Port Hawkesbury Volunteer Fire Department will likely be called in to assist with any calls from Point Tupper, regardless of whether or not the Port Hawkesbury Fire Department is providing primary service, because of the mutual aid agreement struck between neighboring volunteer fire departments. In the town statement, Mayor Chisholm-Beaton also says that she reached out personally to Warden Marchand to seek an in-person meeting to discuss fire services, the town of Port Hawkesbury's stance, and the logic behind Richmond Council's decision. However, Mayor Chisholm-Beaton says that the request to meet in person was officially rejected via email by Warden Marchand on behalf of his council. Telile 24/7 reached out to Warden Marchand to give him the opportunity to respond to the town's claims. Despite our best efforts on both sides, we weren't able to make that interview come together by the time the show went to production. However, we do hope to have Warden Marchand on the air for you very soon to be able to address the situation himself. In Port Hawkesbury for Telile 24/7, I'm Adam Cooke.